Multiplying binomials using FOIL method. Lesson 8.4. You're watching this video with Ms.Y. Cavazos. So, FOIL method. Sounds weird. You're probably thinking, what? Foil paper? No, it's just a way, an acronym that we use for a specific way of multiplying, especially binomials. So, FOIL method. It is very unique and it'll probably stay in your head for a good while. First, let's find out, what does FOIL stand for? F stands for first, O stands for outer, I stands for inner, L stands for last. And we're talking about terms. The first term, the outer terms, the inner terms, and the last terms. Okay, so the first terms mean the first two terms of both binomials. Outer terms means the two terms that are on the outside. If you could box this up somehow, it would be the two terms that are on the outside of the parentheses. Inner are the two inner terms. The one's kind of close to each other, it's just parentheses separating them. And of course, if we had first terms, then we have last terms, the two last terms for each binomial. FOIL. Okay, so the way we multiply using the FOIL method is we multiply the first terms, that is our F. We multiply the outer terms, that's the O. And if you notice, this term is multiplied with this and with this. Well, there's nothing else to multiply it with, so we move on to the next part, the inner. So we multiply those two inner, that's our I, and then we multiply the last, and that's our L. We're going to use these arrows to help us multiply these two binomials using the FOIL method. So let's start with F. F stands for first. So these two terms go first. So in your mind, your brain is processing F with X times X. Then we move on to the next one, O. O is the outer. In this case, X times -6. Next is I, the inner. And we have 2 times X. And again, this is just the way your brain works, the way it's processing. And then finally, L, which is 2 times -6. So, applying FOIL, we have X times X, which we learned is X squared. X times -6 is just -6X. 2 times X is 2X, but it's a positive, so be sure to put that plus sign. 2 times -6, -12. Of course, we gotta stop and check, okay, is this my final answer, or can I combine anything? You can combine, and we combine those two terms, and so we get our simplified answer of -4x is what we get out of those two. So bring down the x squared, bring down the -12, and this is our simplified answer. This answer is the same answer we would get had we done the distributive property method, which I'll remind you distributive was X times the second binomial, and then plus 2 times, again, the second binomial. And we multiply, and we would get x squared minus 6x. We multiply, we distribute, positive 2x minus 12, and as you can see, it's the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and try another example. Multiply the two binomials using the FOIL method. So FOIL, F stands for first. So in our brains, we should be thinking, processing, okay, x times x squared. We move on to the next part. So that's F. O, the two outer ones, x times 5. So then we should be processing 5x. And of course that was O. Then we move on to the inner, our I. 7 times x is a positive 7x. And then we move on to the last. 7 times 5. And in your mind, you should be processing using some type of calculator to verify. And we will get plus 35. Before you decide, yep, this is it, my final answer, check, is there anything we can combine? And you've already noticed that the two middle terms are the ones we can combine. So after combining, we would get x squared. 5 plus 7 would give us a 12x. Bring down the 35. And this is our simplified answer. Which again, if you wanted to do the distributive property method, you would still end up with the same answer. Next, here we have c minus 5 times 2c minus 9 using FOIL method. Now, it really helps if you use the arrows. It'll save your life. You're less likely to make a mistake. You just got to think times. So c times 2c squared. Then we do the outer. And again, in your mind, you should be telling yourself c times negative 9. Negative 9c. Move on to the inner terms. Negative 5 times 2. Negative 10c. Then at last, we have negative 5 times negative 9. And that is positive 45. So again, this was a product from our outer terms, this was a product from our inner terms, and this was a product from our last terms. We already multiplied what we could, now we got to add or subtract like terms. So this one with this one, we have a negative 9 minus 10, and that gives us a negative 19c. Bring down the 2c squared, bring down the 45, and this is our simplified expression. This one here looks weird, looks different. Hope you've noticed this huge exponent. Well, not that huge, but there is an exponent. So think about something like 4 squared. What is 4 squared? So you're thinking, oh, 4 times 2. No, it's not 4 times 2. It's 2 copies of 4, which really is 4 times 4. Same thing if you had 10 squared. It's not 10 times 2, it's 2 copies of 10 multiplying each other, 10 times 10. So with this idea, we should apply it in this problem here. Anytime you have a squared, it simply means that you have 2 copies of that binomial that is getting squared. 2 copies. So, FOIL method. F. 2x times 2x. So your brain should already start processing a little faster. Start recognizing the pattern. 4x squared. Then it's the outer terms. 2x plus 8. I'm sorry, not plus. You see? 2x times 8. That is a 16x. We will move on to the inner terms. 8 times 2x, again, 16x. Finally, we have 8 times 8, and we get a positive 64. So if we look at what we have, we've noticed a pattern that the two middle terms are the like terms. So those two can combine, and that'll give us a 32x. Bring down the 4x squared, bring down the 64, and we have our simplified answer. So again, to some of you, this method might be a lot easier to work with, and that's fine. I would really encourage you to use the arrows. So again, in this problem, we have that power of 2. So what does it mean? That we have 2 copies of that binomial. So we need to write exactly 2 copies of it. FOIL method. 3 times 3 is 9. X times x, x squared. So 3x times 3x, 9x squared. Outer terms. 3x times negative 4, negative 12x. Inner terms. Negative 4 times 3x, negative 12x. And then finally, our last terms. Negative 4 times negative 4. Negative times a negative makes a positive. 4 times 4 is 16. We combine the 2 middle terms, because that's been the pattern so far. Those are the like terms. And that gives us a negative 24x. In all, the expression reads 9x squared minus 24x plus 16. And that is our simplified answer. I'll try one more problem. 3x minus 4 times 2x plus 7. FOIL. 3 times 2, 6. X times x, x squared. Then we move on to the outer terms. 3x times 7 would give us a positive 21x. We move on to the next term, negative 4 times 2. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8x. Negative 4 times the last term, which is a positive 7, would give us a negative 28. We check our polynomial here, and we notice that these two are like terms, so those two can be combined. And so we get 6x squared. Then we combine 21 with 8 by subtracting 21 minus 8, and we get a positive 13x with a minus 28, and this is our simplified answer. I hope this has helped you understand FOIL method. Thank you for watching.